Ladies, let me tell you something, and I need you to sit down for this one. Because what I'm about to tell you today is going to unlock something in your spirit that's been locked up for years. If a man goes quiet on you, if a man pulls back, if a man disappears for a day, 2 days, sometimes a whole week, and you have been sitting there in agony, convinced he doesn't want you, convinced he's cheating, convinced he's done with you, I need you to listen to me carefully, because the brutal truth is this. Sometimes, sister, a man doesn't pull away because he's leaving you. Sometimes a man pulls away because he's falling. He's falling so hard, he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's scared. He's overwhelmed. He's trying to figure out how to be a man worthy of the woman you are. And nobody has ever explained this to you before. Nobody has ever sat you down and said, baby, there's a difference between a man avoiding you and a man wrestling with love. So today, I'm going to break it down for you, piece by piece, layer by layer, until you can look at that man and read him like a book, until you never again cry over a text that didn't come, wondering what you did wrong. Sit down. Let me break this down for you. Now, before I get into the meat of this, I want you to understand something about men that most women were never told. See, women process emotion out loud. You talk to your girlfriends, you call your mama, you write in your journal, you cry it out, you dance it out, you post about it, you talk to God about it. That's how you move through big feelings. But men, baby, men were built different. Not better, not worse, just different. When a man feels something big, something real, something that shakes him to his core, his first instinct is not to talk about it. His first instinct is to go into the cave, to retreat, to sit in silence, and try to figure out what in the world is happening to him. And this is where so many good women get it wrong. Because you're watching him retreat and you're reading it as rejection. You're reading it as abandonment. You're reading it as, oh Lord, here we go again. Another one who doesn't want me. But sister, listen to me carefully. Sometimes that silence is not rejection at all. Sometimes that silence is a man realizing he can't play with you the way he played with the last one. Sometimes that silence is a man realizing you are the real deal, and now he has to become a real man to keep you. Let me tell you about a woman I know. Let's call her Maya. Maya is 34 years old, gorgeous, smart, runs her own little business, owns her condo, does not need a man for a single thing except love. And Maya met a man about 8 months ago. Good man, kind eyes, steady job, treated her like a queen from day one, called her every morning, texted her good night every single evening, took her out on real dates, introduced her to his friends. Maya was floating. She said, Steve, I finally met one. I finally met one who acts right. And then one Tuesday out of nowhere, this man goes quiet, not gone, not blocked her, not ghosted, just quiet. Text messages went from 20 a day to 2. Phone calls went from every morning to every other day. Maya lost her mind. She called me crying. She said, Steve, I knew it. I knew he was too good to be true. I knew he was going to cheat. I knew he was going to leave. And I sat with her and I said, baby, has that man told you anything is wrong? Has he canceled a date? Has he stopped saying he loves you? And she said, no, but he's different. And I said, Maya, sit down, because what you are witnessing is not a man leaving. What you are witnessing is a man falling in love and not knowing how to handle it. 2 weeks later, that man showed up at Maya's door with a ring. Turned out he had been quiet because he was terrified. Terrified he wasn't going to be enough. Terrified she was going to say no. Terrified of how much he loved her. That silence, my thought was rejection was actually the sound of a man deciding to spend his life with her. So today I'm going to teach you the signs. I'm going to teach you how to tell the difference between a man who is avoiding you and a man who is in love with you. Because they can look identical from the outside, sister, but they are two completely different animals on the inside. And once you learn to read the difference, you will never again lose sleep over a man's quiet season. You will never again beg for attention from a man who is actually already committed to you in his heart. You will finally have peace. Now hear me on this, because this is the foundation of everything I'm about to tell you. A man in love is not a man on autopilot. A man in love is a man in transformation. And transformation, baby, is uncomfortable. Transformation is messy. Transformation looks like a whole lot of nothing on the surface while everything is being rearranged underneath. That's why he's quiet. That's why he's weird. That's why he's not himself. Because he is literally becoming a new version of himself for you. Now let me get into the first sign. And I want you to pay close attention, because this one right here is the one almost every woman misreads. Sign number one, that a man is not avoiding you, but is actually in love, is when he still shows up in the small ways, even when he goes quiet in the big ways. Let me explain what I mean by that. When a man is truly done with you, sister, he is done. He is not sending you good morning texts. He is not liking your posts. He is not checking on you when you mention you're not feeling well. When a man is done, the whole system shuts down all at once, cold and complete. But a man who is in love, even when he pulls back into his cave to think and process, he cannot fully disappear from you. He can't help himself. His fingers will still find your name on his phone at 10:30 at night just to say, hey, how was your day? He will still remember that you had a doctor's appointment on Thursday and text you afterward to ask how it went. He will still show up when it counts, even if his overall communication has dropped by 50%. You see the difference? A man who is avoiding you goes fully cold. A man who is falling in love goes quieter, but never fully cold. There's always a thread. There's always a heartbeat. There's always a small signal that says, I'm still here. I'm still yours. I just need a minute to figure some things out. So when you're sitting there panicking because he hasn't called you in 2 days, I want you to ask yourself one question. Has he completely disappeared, or has he just gotten quieter? Because those are two very different things, sister. Two very different things. Sign number two. And this one is going to hit some of you right in the chest. A man who is in love, even when he pulls back, is protective of you when other men come around. Watch this carefully. A man who is truly avoiding you doesn't care what other men do to you. He doesn't care if some guy at the bar is flirting with you. He doesn't care if your ex sends you a happy birthday text. He is checked out. He has moved on internally. But a man who is in love, even a man who is quiet and pulling away to think, his jealousy circuit is still active. Because love, baby, activates ownership in a good man. Not ownership in a controlling way, but ownership in a protective way. If you mention casually that some guy at work took you to lunch, and this so-called avoiding man suddenly perks up and starts asking questions, that is not a man who is avoiding you. That is a man who is deeply invested in you and just doesn't know how to say it yet. Because here's what men are wired to do, sister. Men are wired to compete. Men are wired to protect what is theirs. And when a man loves you, even if he hasn't said the words, even if he's in his quiet season, The mere idea of another man near you will wake something up in him that avoidance cannot fake. So pay attention. Drop a little test. Mention a friend of a friend, a coworker, someone, and watch his eyes, watch his posture. Watch how quickly he texts you back. Because a man who is truly avoiding you will not flinch. But a man who is falling in love will show his hand every single time. Sign number 3, and this is a big one. A man who is in love with you talks about the future even when he's quiet in the present. Listen to me carefully on this one. When a man is done with you, he stops planting seeds. He stops saying things like, when we go to Cancun next year, or my mama is going to love you, or we should look at that house together this spring. When a man is done, the future language disappears. He starts talking in the present tense only, or worse, in the past tense. But a man who is in love, even when he's quiet, even when he's not texting you back within 30 minutes like he used to, he keeps dropping future seeds. He'll be quiet for 3 days and then send you a link to a restaurant with the words, "We have to try this in the fall." That's a man in love, sister. That's a man planning his life with you inside of it. Even when he doesn't have the emotional bandwidth to text you every hour like he did at the beginning. See, in the beginning of a relationship, men are running on chemicals, dopamine, testosterone, novelty. It's easy to text a woman 50 times a day when your brain is on fire. But that is not sustainable, and it is not even the real him. The real him shows up around month 3, month 4, month 5, when the chemicals settle down and he has to decide, do I actually want to build with this woman? And when he decides yes, he stops being a fireworks show and starts being a foundation. And foundations, baby, are quieter than fireworks. Foundations don't sparkle. Foundations hold you up. So when you're missing the fireworks, I want you to look down and check if there's a foundation being poured underneath you. Because if there is, sister, you are winning. You just don't know it yet. Now, let me tell you about another woman I know. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel was dating a man for about a year. First 6 months were magic. Fireworks, butterflies. He couldn't get enough of her. Then around month 7, he got weird. He got quiet. He stopped being the fireworks show. And Rachel, God bless her, did what most women do. She started chasing. She started double texting. She started calling her girlfriends asking, do you think he's cheating? Do you think he's over me? Do you think I should break up with him first before he breaks up with me? And I sat Rachel down and I said, baby, has he done anything to disrespect you? Has he lied to you? Has he pulled away from your family? Has he stopped making plans with you? And she said, no. In fact, he just booked us a trip to Charleston for Valentine's Day. And I said, Rachel, that man is not leaving you. That man is settling into you. There is a difference between a man leaving and a man settling in. A man leaving disappears. A man settling in gets comfortable, gets quieter, and starts building a life with you piece by piece. Rachel almost blew up a good relationship because she couldn't tell the difference between a man cooling off and a man locking in. Don't be Rachel, sister. Don't be Rachel. Sign number 4, that a man is in love and not avoiding you. He remembers the small things. Now, women, I need you to hear me on this. Men do not have the same memory circuits you have. When you love a man, you remember what shirt he wore on your 3rd date. You remember his mama's birthday. You remember the name of the dog he had when he was 12. That is female love, and it is beautiful. Male love does not work the same way. But when a man is in love with you, even when he seems distracted, even when he seems distant, he will suddenly reveal that he was paying attention the entire time. He will bring you a coffee with the exact syrup you mentioned once, 3 months ago. He will show up on the day you told him you had a big presentation, even though you never reminded him. He will remember that you don't like cilantro and pick it off your plate before handing it to you. Baby, these are not small things. These are not accidents. These are love letters written in behavior, because men do not remember what does not matter to them. So if this so-called avoiding man is still catching the small details of your life, still tracking your calendar, still knowing your preferences, sister, he is not avoiding you. He is orbiting you. He is quietly memorizing you. He is preparing to build a life around what makes you happy. That is not avoidance. That is devotion in disguise. Now, let me tell you what avoidance actually looks like so we're crystal clear. A man who is truly avoiding you does not ask follow-up questions about your life. A man who is truly avoiding you cancels plans and does not reschedule. A man who is truly avoiding you goes days without checking in and then acts surprised when you're upset. A man who is truly avoiding you gets vague about weekends, holidays, and future plans. A man who is truly avoiding you starts talking about how busy he is, how stressed he is, how he needs space, and then never gives you a return date. A man who is truly avoiding you disappears from your social media life, stops liking your posts, stops responding to your stories. That, sister, is avoidance. That is a man with 1 foot out the door. And if that is what you're experiencing, I love you enough to tell you the truth. That man is not your man. That man is not in love with you. That man is buying time. And you deserve better than a placeholder relationship with a man who is auditioning his exit strategy. But if the man in front of you is not doing any of those things, if he is just quieter than he used to be, if he is just not as expressive as he was in the beginning, if he is just going through his own internal storm while still showing up in the small ways, sister, hold your horses. Do not throw a good man away because he stopped being a novelty show. Novelty is not love. Novelty is chemistry. Love is what happens after the chemistry settles down and the real man reveals himself. And a real man, baby, is not a firework. A real man is a fireplace. He is warm. He is steady. He is there when you come home cold from the world. Sign number 5, that a man is in love and not avoiding you. He includes you in his hard moments. Now, this one is powerful, and I want you to sit with this one for a minute. A man who is avoiding you will hide his struggles from you, because a man who is avoiding you does not see you as his partner. He sees you as an option, a placeholder, someone to entertain when he's bored. And you do not let placeholders into your pain, sister. You just don't. But a man who is in love with you, even when he's quiet, even when he's not being the fireworks show anymore, will start to let you into the hard parts of his life. He'll tell you when his boss is stressing him out. He'll tell you when his mama is on his nerves. He'll tell you when his best friend hurt his feelings, even though he'd rather die than admit that to another man. Baby, when a man starts trusting you with his pain, that is a wedding invitation before the wedding invitation. That is the deepest form of intimacy a man knows how to give. Because men are trained from the time they are little boys not to show weakness, not to be vulnerable, not to cry, not to admit fear. And when a man breaks that lifelong programming for you, when he lets you see his tears, when he lets you see his exhaustion, when he lets you see his little boy fear, underneath his grown man muscles. Sister, that is not a man avoiding you. That is a man handing you the keys to his soul. Do not misread that as distance. That is the closest he knew how to be. Sign number 6. He plans for you even when he's not with you. This one is subtle, but this one is one of the strongest signals a man can give. A man who is falling in love with you does mental planning around your existence, even when you're not in the room. He'll be at Home Depot buying a new grill and thinking, she likes ribs, I should grill for her Sunday. He'll be at the mall picking up something for himself and see a scarf in a color that reminds him of you and buy it without thinking twice. He'll be at work in a meeting and think, I need to text her when this ends because she said today was going to be rough. Baby, that is not a man who is avoiding you. That is a man who is carrying you around inside his mind all day, every day. And when he finally does text you at 4:30 in the afternoon, after being silent since 8 in the morning, do not read that silence as absence. Read that silence as a man who was thinking about you for 8 straight hours and finally had a free moment to reach out. There is a huge difference between a man who is silent because he doesn't care and a man who is silent because he's busy carrying his life on his shoulders while trying to build a place for you in it. Now, sister, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Steve, this all sounds beautiful, but how do I know for sure? How do I know if my situation is the good kind of silence or the bad kind of silence? And I hear you. I hear the fear in that question. I hear the years of disappointment behind that question. I hear every man who ghosted you, every man who lied to you, every man who made you feel crazy for asking for the bare minimum. And I want you to know something. You are not crazy. You have never been crazy. You have simply been trying to make sense of men who never bothered to explain themselves to you. So today, I'm going to give you the test. I'm going to give you the exact questions to ask yourself so you can know with your whole chest whether this man is falling in love with you or falling away from you. Are you ready? Sit up straight. Put down that phone because this is going to change how you love for the rest of your life. Question number 1. When you need him, does he show up? Not perfectly, not immediately, but eventually and consistently. When you say, hey, I had a hard day, does he respond? When you say, hey, can we talk? Does he make time? When you say, hey, I miss you, does he reach back or does he go colder? A man in love will not always be available in the moment because he has a life, sister, and a man with a life is a good thing. But he will always come back around. He will always circle back. He will always eventually show up. A man who is avoiding you will not show up. He will leave you on read. He will half respond. He will keep you dangling on a string. That is your first test. Question number 2. Does he introduce you to the people who matter to him? A man who is in love, even a quiet man, wants his people to know about you. He wants his mama to meet you. He wants his best friend to see you. He wants his sister to approve of you because he is trying to weave you into the fabric of his life. A man who is avoiding you will keep you separate from everything. You will never meet his family. You will never meet his friends. You will exist in a private little bubble that never touches the rest of his life. And that, sister, is a red flag the size of Texas. Question number 3. Does he give you access to his time? Not just his texts, not just his phone calls, his time, his actual physical hours on this earth. A man in love makes time for you. He may not be available every day, but he carves out real hours for you consistently. A man who is avoiding you gives you scraps of time. A Tuesday night here, a Sunday afternoon there. Nothing you can count on. Nothing you can build around. Because his real life is happening elsewhere, and you are just the entertainment on the side. Baby, if you are getting scraps of time, you are not getting love. You are getting leftovers, and you were not built for leftovers. Question number 4. Does he protect your peace, or does he disturb your peace? This is the one that no one talks about, sister. A man who is in love with you protects your peace. He does not create drama and then disappear. He does not send you into anxiety spirals with cryptic texts. He does not pick fights and then vanish for 3 days. A man in love, even a quiet man, moves in a way that keeps you calm. Not because he's perfect, not because you never have disagreements, but because his overall pattern is to add peace to your life, not subtract from it. A man who is avoiding you disturbs your peace constantly. You feel anxious around him. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You feel like you never quite know where you stand. Sister, listen to me carefully. Anxiety is not love. Confusion is not love. Chaos is not love. If you are constantly anxious around this man, that is not because he's in love with you and processing it. That is because he is not treating you with the consistency love requires. Question number 5. When he finally does come back around after his quiet season, does he explain himself or does he act like nothing happened?